wet, 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 wet.
Hello everybody and welcome to Style Sunday. This is episode number 2. I really hope you enjoyed Style Sunday episode 1. In today's video we are going to be comparing two of the market's best hairdryers, one from Parlux and one from Dyson. Let's start with the basics. Why blow dry your hair? I'm not saying you have to blow dry your hair, because if your hair is short enough, you can probably get away with towel drying it. However, my hair is quite long at the minute and I have to blow dry it every time I get out the shower. Blow drying helps to pre-mold your hair into position, into a shape, which you can then follow up with clay and hairspray. This is going to give you a really good shape and a mold and a base to start with, and without that your hair will just lie in its natural position, which may not be the position that you want to start with. Pro tip: the damper your hair, the more chance you have of getting it into your desired position. Sometimes you can dry your hair just a little bit too much with the towel, and then you'll find it's a lot harder to blow dry into position. Obviously you don't want your hair too wet, like soaking, dripping wet, because then you're gonna have problems and it's gonna take you an awfully long time to actually dry your hair. So, how do you use a hairdryer? Well, to be honest with you, I had never ever used a hairdryer in my life until about 2 or 3 years ago when I started growing my hair just a little bit longer. There was never really any need. I used to towel dry it and then put wax on and get it into position. However, I was always wondering, how did these other guys get their hair to sit like a certain way so naturally? Then I started using a hairdryer and worked out that's exactly how they did it. Depending on the length of your hair, you may need to use a brush. If it's not too long, you can use your fingers, but just be very careful not to burn them because the hairdryer does get quite hot. Always make sure to dry and brush your hair in the same direction as what your hair naturally grows in. That way you'll be able to get the desired position and shape much more easy. However, if you don't want to go the same direction of your hair, what you're going to do is you're going to go against your natural lie, and that will create much bigger volume. So if you want a nice big quiff, then always go the opposite direction of your hair. Always use the nozzle of the hairdryer. That way you can control and target the airflow much more efficiently. If you don't have the nozzle on, you're just going to be blow drying huge parts of hair, which is going to be out of control. Also, always keep the hairdryer moving. That way you're not going to be on one patch of hair for too long and end up burning it. Okay, so here's some really important tips. Tip number 1 is something that I mentioned in the last video. Use a small bit of clay in your hair after you've towel dried it, so your hair is still damp. Rub it into your hands and rub it all the way through your hair and get right down to the roots. After you've done that, then proceed on blow drying, and that way you're going to get a much nicer natural finish. So here's a really important one. Don't always use the highest speed and don't always use the highest heat on the hairdryer. Actually using just a medium heat and a medium speed will allow you to have a lot more control over the hair, and you can take more time doing it and getting it into position. Sometimes if you have the hairdryer on full blast, you'll actually knock hairs out of place and you'll end up with little hairs quite static around your head, which doesn't always look the best. So all good hairdryers will have a little button which is a cold shot button, and what this will do is that will fire the coolest air possible that the hairdryer can create. And you're probably wondering, why do you want cold air when you're drying your hair? Surely hotter would do it faster. Well, I'm about to get into that. So if you know anything about skincare, you'll know that by using hot water, that'll help open the pores, and then using cold water will close the pores. So whenever you go for a shave, you should always be using a hot cloth around your face. That'll open the pores, and then you shave so you can get a much closer shave. That's because the pores have opened, and then you use cold water to close the pores to stop any dirt or bacteria getting in there. Hair works exactly the same way. So whenever you're using the high heat, that's actually opening up the follicles in the hair, so that way they can be much easier pushed into position by the brush and the hairdryer. Once you're finished pushing those hairs into position, just before your hair is completely dry, use the cold button, use the coldest setting on your hairdryer, and feel free to go a lot closer. And what that's going to do is close those follicles so that your hair almost freezes into position. Okay, so the moment you've been waiting for, or maybe not, the comparison of two high-end hairdryers. If you go into any barbershop or hairdressers, you will see the girls and boys in there using these two hairdryers. That's because these are the best hairdryers you can get. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why does Louis have these two hairdryers? He doesn't. One of them is Francis's, and she has hair down to a bum, so it takes her an awfully long time to dry her hair. So the better the hairdryer, the faster it dries the hair. So she needs a pretty good one to get through that hair fast. So my hairdryer is this one. It's a Parlux 385 Light in Tiffany blue. Look at that, Tiffany blue. Doesn't get much nicer than that. But then this one comes along, the Dyson, which is pretty sick looking. I really like this, especially like the design of it. And that one is Francis's. So we're gonna compare the two right now, and we're gonna cover a number of different attributes, and we'll see who comes out on top, okay? If I'm gonna be specific, this is the Parlux 385 Powerlight Ceramic Ionic Hairdryer, and this one is just a Dyson hairdryer. If you type in Dyson hairdryer on Google, this is gonna come up straight away. And right now, I'm gonna put a table for each of these hairdryers on the screen so you guys can compare them one by one. So I've got 6 attributes for each hairdryer, and we're gonna see who comes up on top at the end of it. So number 1 is power. Hairdryers are graded by wattage, so the higher the watts, the faster, the stronger, the better, the more powerful the hairdryer. So the Parlux is 2,150 watts. The power of the Dyson is 1,600 watts, so considerably less than the Parlux, so the Parlux takes it for that one. Number 2 is the price. The price of the Parlux is only £95, whereas the price of the Dyson is £300. So you could buy 3 Parlux hairdryers for the price of 1 Dyson hairdryer. So again, the Parlux wins that one. Next up is the weight. The weight of the Parlux is a mere 450 grams, which is very light for a hairdryer of its class. And the Dyson is 650 grams. So they're both pretty light, but again, the Parlux wins that one. So it's 3-0 to the Parlux. Actually, 3-1 because the Dyson wins on design. So 3-1 at the minute to the Parlux. Next is the size. Now, if I put these two hairdryers together, you will see that there is really no difference at all in size. And in fact, once you remove the nozzle from the Dyson, it becomes considerably smaller. So therefore, the Dyson is actually smaller and he wins that one. So the score now is 3-2, still to the Parlux. Next, we have settings. So the Parlux has 3 different heat settings. It has cold, it has medium, and it has hot. The Dyson, however, has 4 heat settings: very cold, cold, medium heat, and very hot. So the Dyson has technically more settings, therefore he wins that one. So the score now is, the score's 3-3, which leaves me to the last attribute, noise. So we're gonna compare both the noises of these hairdryers on camera, and you guys can help me decide, because honestly, it's a very close one. So first of all, I'm gonna play you the Parlux and see what you think. That's the Parlux. Next, I'm gonna play the Dyson. That's the Dyson. It's very, very hard to say who wins that one. I am gonna say that the Dyson is slightly quieter, even though the Parlux has a silencer on it. Let me add up the scores.
2 hours later.
Okay, so technically the Dyson wins because it was 3-3. So for power, price, and weight, the Parlux wins. However, for design, size, and settings, and noise, the Dyson wins. I think, in my opinion, the Parlux is better. I don't know what it is, but whenever I do my hair with the Parlux, I just get a better finish, a better style, and I never ever get loose stragglers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it's a little bit different. It's Style Sunday, it's consistent, it's short, it's punchy. I hope this is short, because it was meant to be short, but I feel like I've rambled on quite a lot. Never mind. So again, if you liked this video, if you thought it was helpful, if you thought it was informational, if you feel like you're gonna benefit from it, leave a thumbs up, because that's why I'm in the YouTube game, to give people help and advice. And also, if you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe. And if you are currently subscribed, make sure that you have the notification bell turned on so that you get constant updates on when I upload videos. So I'll see you next week for another Style Sunday.